Hi guys, welcome back. So thank you everybody for the lovely birthday messages that you sent me on here, and of course those of you on Twitter that follow me. Oh sorry, it's not Twitter, it's X now, isn't it? But I just want to say a big thank you. I would say that I had a fantastic evening with my mum. I did pop round there for all of about 10 minutes. I got a couple of presents, including a new bee cushion. In fact, I got lots of bee stuff because, as you guys can guess, I'm a massive bee fan. I hope one day when I move to a larger property, I might even be able to try actually having a go at beekeeping. Needless to say that anyone that knows and loves me and got me something for Christmas, birthday, anniversary, it always is bees. You think I would be sick of them by now, but I say never. Bee me up. Now that's the cheery stuff out of the way. Let's just dive straight in with one of the biggest stories that has come out in the news over the last couple of days. And yes, it is about the Princess of Wales, but don't worry, it's not over a photograph. This story, however, is much, much worse. 2 days ago, the story broke that the Princess of Wales has had a security breach of her personal medical records at the London clinic where she had her operation in January. A member of staff was apparently caught trying to access her private medical details. But as the story has unravelled further in the last 24 hours, they are now saying it's up to 3 separate members of staff that are involved in this scandal that has left, I'm sure, not just the Princess of Wales and the palace reeling, but also the hospital itself. This is a top, very, very private hospital that treats prime ministers, members of the royal family. They're not just going to have a desk with a computer sitting there that any Tom, Dick and Harry can go past and just access it when they feel like it. Plus, when it comes to certain private records, and especially anyone's medical records, they have security in place, so if you try and access it, you'll have your own admin code. You can't just basically jump on and just go, ooh, I wonder what the Princess of Wales operation was. We know what our medical records are. They're everything from birth, from a cut finger to every operation you've ever had, every time you've ever been in the hospital. But the biggest question it comes down to, I think, is who was paying this person to do it? Dan Wootton revealed that the video clip that we saw that was released, that was taken at the farm shop, that person got paid by the Sun £200,000. The fact that TMZ also have their own version of this video because they've got their stamp all over it makes me believe that they sold it to a UK media outlet and a US media outlet. That person with that one video clip has probably managed to pay off their entire mortgage. And that's the problem with newspapers and media organisations all around the world willing to pay such large sums of money. It works as an incentive for people, not just for paparazzi, but now also members of the public. But this was no mere video clip like we saw of Catherine and William at the farm shop. This was no intrusive photograph taken of Catherine when she was being driven on a school run by her mother. This is her private medical information. When you go into hospital, not only do you expect to have 100% safety whilst you're in a hospital for peace of mind, you also expect to have 100% privacy, especially to do with any medical procedures that you've had whilst you're in there and also after you've left the hospital. I hope the people involved have the book thrown at them. I hope the hospital do make it very clear that the person has not only been sacked and they've lost the right to work in any sort of medical industry ever again, that the police are definitely going to press charges. I'm sorry, this is not something that should be taken lightly. It's not just the fact that it's the Princess of Wales. This is a massive breach of security of someone's personal, private data. You couldn't get more personal. Now, as for headlines coming out, we've had quite a few of them. Harry and Meghan aren't getting away with this can of worms that was opened over members of the royal family editing photographs. It would seem that a few of theirs have now been brought into question. Yes, Getty Images have actually now stamped this famous photograph as saying that it has been edited. This has seen Chris Allerton and Miss Anne Harriman, who has come out in defence of his fellow Meghan and Harry favourite photographer, to say that it has not been edited. Now, I think there is a difference between enhancing a photograph where you might increase the colours, add in highlights and shadowing, compared to what we're classing as editing, removing objects that you're not happy with, photoshopping in whole trees, for example, that puts it into a different category. Now, I'm obviously not a professional and I am not saying that I am, but there has always been a lot of questions raised about this photograph, mainly because the photograph does look distorted. They look out of proportion. I do believe that they were all there, and yes, there are reflections in the mirror, but there is something that's just not quite right visually about this photograph and the way it looks. I mean, Catherine is on a higher chair to Harry and Meghan, but look at William. William is a huge man anyway. Catherine looks like if she stands up, she's going to be a 12-foot basketball player or something. It's definitely been edited. It might just be slight adjustments. Maybe it was the type of lens which can sometimes cause distortions, but to say it hasn't been edited at all, I think someone might be telling porcupines. So while we're talking about people telling mistruths, let's get on to what I mentioned in the last video to do with a certain late show host in the US called Stephen Colbert, who I have been told is actually still quite friendly with Harry after they got along so well after Harry's appearance when he was promoting Spare. Obviously, with not enough going on that's being directed and targeted at the Princess of Wales, Stephen Colbert decided that he was going to throw his hat into the ring and he was going to stir up the Rose Hanbury and Prince William affair. The fact that the timing just seems, again, all too much of a coincidence. The bot farms fired up straight away and they were pushing the headlines, and several media outlets all at the same time were pushing the headlines about the affair again, and they all just seem to be linked. Now, everybody has got fed up with this narrative that has been, it first reared its head in 2019, and it would seem even the Marchioness of Chumley, Rose Hanbury, yes, that is actually how you pronounce that, one of those wonderful British isms, she has had enough and she's actually got her lawyers involved to tell people that the story is not true. I take that as a firing shot saying, if you keep pushing this, you will be talking directly to my lawyers. And who can blame her at this point? Emily Andrews came out at the time and said, do you not think that all of these reporters, that if there had been any truth to it, that someone would have broken the story? There is not a shred of evidence to back this up. All it is a very nasty rumour that affects two families with young children, and it's absolutely disgusting. Now, it would seem that it's not just the couples that are directly involved with this awful false story that have had enough. Giles Corin, a food critic, who is rumoured to be the man that started the affair rumours in the first place, has indeed himself got tired of his name always being churned up whenever someone tries to throw this story back into the headlines. Now, I've looked into this story a bit more, and it all boils down to when it first started, and it was the 23rd of March 2019 when Dan Wootton, who was writing for the Sun newspaper, he wrote an article saying that the women had fallen out. The article was then pulled, but then other outlets ran with the story. It's not so much the article, as I said, which has now disappeared off the face of the earth, but it's the way that Dan words it and the way the article is slightly worded that you can make out from Richard Eden's tweet. It's the fact that Rose Hanbury, Catherine's long-term glamorous friend, and how Catherine has instructed William to phase her out of the crowd. It's intriguing that the two women have fallen out. Prince William's stuck in the middle. It's a gutter press tactic to start suspicions and rumours. Then 2 days later, Giles Corin posted his tweet. Yes, it was an affair. I haven't read the piece. Everyone knows about the affair, darling, even us Jews. But for some reason, this tweet was taken as gospel and it was pushed as confirmation. Robert Lacey, in his book Battle of Brothers, spoke to Giles Corin, and he even explained to the author of the book it was just a drunken joke between friends when he had gone out for a night out. Yes, okay, it's a bad taste joke, but when you actually look at his tweet and you look at the number of people he's having a conversation with, This is his own personal Twitter account. He's talking to 4 other people. It's not like he posted this as factual evidence. It's an affair for people to pick up on. Giles went on to say, whilst it's far from being the worst thing I have ever tweeted, I was joking. I know nothing about the royal family. I had a boozy lunch talking to fellow hacks about the story and in a cab went online to blurt, yes, it is an affair. He himself has said, I have retracted this story over and over. And it was actually Giles responding to one of my tweets where we had a very, very brief back and forth. He said that he is completely baffled, and he has been for 5 years, that so many people take a joke reply to a friend's tweet by a person who knows nothing about the royals as some sort of oracle. He has a point. Why were people taking what he said just on a drunken night out? Yes, darling, yes, oh yes, it's an affair. We Jews know all about it. It's quite clearly tongue in cheek. So I want to know who spotted his tweet? Who was on the lookout for his tweet? Why did his tweet literally get taken as confirmation and the one that was used as the affair definitely happened? So did Giles start the affair rumour? I would say no. It was already being implied, courtesy of Dan Wootton's earlier article that was pulled. Now, what has not helped is 6 months earlier, Giles had actually been partying with Harry and Meghan when they went to the opening of Soho House in Amsterdam. So he'd actually spent time with the then so-called pregnant Meghan as she was drinking and partying alongside them for a couple of days. Now, I've often wondered, is it Harry and Meghan the ones that started sowing these seeds between particular circles, particular sets, just dropping little breadcrumbs here and there when they go to certain parties because they know once that seed has been dropped, it will eventually grow into a rumour. We know that Harry has spoken out many times about how the palace covered up this big story about his brother, and it's quite clear to me that is the story that he is implying. Many people have often wondered if Rose had a black mark against her name by Meghan. She went down in that little black book of revenge after Harry escorted Rose to a state banquet back in 2017, and the news reports wouldn't stop talking about Harry's beautiful guest on his arm. Meghan back in 2017 was the on-off girlfriend, and you can imagine that she didn't particularly like that story too much. Not only that, this rumour only started gaining traction after the bullying allegations had started, when Jason Knuff had told Prince William had had an argument with Harry over Meghan's treatment of the staff. Think about it. It's, how dare he say something about me? I'm going to get revenge, because it's exactly what they did on Oprah. We know most of the stuff that they said wasn't true, and it was in retaliation from having all of the things taken away from them, like one big toddler tantrum or a teenager saying, you know, if you don't give me my phone back, I'm going to call Childline, or whatever it is the kids threaten these days. As I said, for the timing of this to now resurface again, I just don't think there are any coincidences. Now, as for Giles, I'm going to go back to him as well. There are stories that he's not particularly a pleasant person. I've had no personal dealings with him. I can't really say one way or another. But I will say, from what I've seen, his tweets can be very, very harsh, very, very savage, and definitely dripping with sarcasm, because I do find it funny that Giles has done another tweet which is obviously written in the same sort of sarcastic undertones, yet funnily enough the media have decided not to run with it on the same scale. The Sussex Squad, Meghan's fan base, haven't made this tweet go viral. I guess it doesn't fit the narrative, and for obvious reasons I won't be reading this one out loud. But can you imagine the headlines if this was actually taken as written gospel the same way that his previous tweet about Prince William was? Now, as for the Chumleys, again, I will say, yes, that is how you pronounce it. They are still very good friends with William and Catherine. David Rocksavage is very much part of the new King's Court. He has a very prominent role. Their children are great friends, and their son, Lord Oliver, was also page at the King's coronation. And Catherine even went to a festival last year, which was being held on the Chumleys' great big Norfolk estate. She was seen drinking and having a laugh later on in the evening. I didn't share the photograph a long time ago, but I'm gonna share it now because it backs up what I'm saying. That is David Rock Savage and that is Rose Hanbury in the background. You don't exactly tend to go partying and drinking with the woman that is apparently having an affair with your husband. Of course, the conspiracy theory nuts will still be saying, oh, she just deliberately posed with them to squash the rumours. And as I've said many a time, you have to make the decision that when you come across with someone that is determined to believe a conspiracy theory like that, you just have to let them get on with it. As Buzz Lightyear once said, there is no sign of intelligent life anywhere. So as per my last video, let's talk about Meghans' new business venture. Right, ready? The American Riviera Orchard Montecito new launch on Instagram. As I said, it really does not roll off the tongue at all. Many people are up in arms about the fact that the king needs to strip the titles. Meghan is going against the Sandringham Summit. And I say, Meghan's always gone against the Sandringham Summit. Harry and Meghan have been against the Sandringham Summit since they first started signing up with all of these big business deals. Meghan used her title, the Duchess of Sussex, to flog coffee. They have always breached it ever since that they have started selling themselves to be royals for hire. The biggest problem that the monarchy have got is the fact that they didn't take the titles when they should have done. They should have definitely taken the titles from them after Oprah, because that would have been perfect a year after the Sandringham Summit when the Queen gave them a year to change their minds. And instead of them just saying, no, do you know what, we don't want to come back, we're going to continue with our freedom, they decided to launch the worst attack on the monarchy in many, many, many decades. That would have been the time to ask Parliament to start getting the ball rolling. If it wasn't that time, definitely Netflix, where they attacked the country, where they attacked the Commonwealth, where they attacked absolutely everybody. But the king has not done that. Plus, another problem the palace have got is Fergie. It's not the first time that someone has said that, I'm sure. But Sarah, Duchess of York, I actually really like her. She does amuse me. But she's divorced from Prince Andrew, and because she's not married, she has retained her title, Sarah, Duchess of York. And she has used that title to flog anything and everything from juices to raunchy books with Mills and Boon and even jams and biscuits. The palace will not be able to do anything about Meghan's title over her wanting to sell jams and nut butters, or what was it, jam butters and legume, I don't know, I can't remember now, I've even forgot that. But they can't do anything because you know the first thing that Meghan and her fan base will do, and they will whip out that racism card, because if Fergie has been allowed to do it, then Meghan should be allowed to do it. And now obviously a massive difference here is Fergie respected the Queen. Fergie has never waged war on the royal family, and she was not tied to any sort of Sandringham Summit agreements. But as I said, I think the royal family have left it a little bit too late to start fanning about and taking the dukedom over something so petty. If Harry and Meghan continue to actually wade into political waters, then the government very much has to get involved, because I can see these two causing a bit of a diplomatic issue. As I said, when they went to Canada, Harry's now taken it upon himself to speak to the Indigenous people about the commitment from the Crown. He is overstepping with the Canadian government and the royal family. Now, whilst their titles have not been taken, which many of us have wanted for a number of years, they have had a rather embarrassing downgrade on the royal family website. Many people got excited, myself included, because people noticed that they had disappeared altogether, but they were back within 30 minutes. But there had been quite a big change to their profiles. They are no longer two separate profiles with thousands of words. Harry's used to start off with the fact that he's fifth in line to the throne and everything that he's done. They have been merged and they've got about 560 words between them. Harry definitely has the lion's share because he is a member of the royal family by blood. He is a prince. He is the king's second son. But they have definitely stripped away a lot of Harry's stuff. They've left it basically, Harry was in the army, and then they've spoken about Harry's personal achievements like Centre Barley, like the Invictus Games, everything that was an achievement courtesy of the royal family, basically Harry's entire life, is all pretty much gone. It's been compacted, condensed, and anything else has been removed. Then we go on to Meghan, and I bet there are some plates being smashed over in Montecito. She is definitely not going to be happy about this. Gone is all of the salad waffle about how Meghan was a feminist, how she was a humanitarian, all of the things that she decided that she was in the run-up to trying to meet Harry and marry Harry. She did all of those organised photo shoots and stuff to plump up her CV. She changed her Wikipedia from being a model, I think it was, to now she was an activist and a humanitarian. But her profile just says that she was an actress before marrying Harry. She was a successful actress on Suits, and she had a successful lifestyle blog called The Tick. Not only that, they then go on to talk about the 3 patronages that she briefly held. This is then followed on by, if you want to know about their current work, please go to sussex.com. Now, this did cause a little bit of mini outrage on Twitter because people were saying, but they're advertising their sussex.com website. That means that they are advertising and supporting Harry and Meghan's actions. No, they're really not. Harry's no longer starts with the fact he's 5th in line. Their joint profile at the very top says that they are no longer working members of the royal family as per their decision that they made back in 2020. Harry's is stripped back. Meghan's is stripped back so far. It just basically says she was a D-list cable TV actress, a vlogger. She married Harry. She did the bare minimum. And if you want to know what they're up to now, please kindly go forth to their non-royal website, which is here, because we've got nothing to do with them. They have moved on overseas. And then it finishes off with that the titles were a gift by Queen Elizabeth II on the day of their marriage. And they almost needed to have this gift with Meghan at the bottom of it, because that is how she thanked Her Majesty after such a wonderful gift. Harry and Meghan are not listed as serving the monarchy or serving the Commonwealth anywhere. Much like when the Queen put out a statement that said recollections may vary, the palace, by not saying anything, has managed to say so much more if you actually read between the lines. And I'm so here for it. Take care for now. Bye.